How powerful is Cox Internet? Powerful enough to let your band members in Vegas, Phoenix, and Rhode Island jam like you're all in the same garage. Get Cox Internet powered by fiber with America's fastest download speeds. It's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, always building better. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial connection. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and other restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Data. Fixed median download speeds. US Q3 2023.
Listen up. I won't sugarcoat it. This is the longest cold, flu, and allergy season we've ever seen, but we're not alone. We've got Instacart. Sure, you may be a coughing snot faucet who just wants mommy, but you're not giving up! Not when cold medicine, fragrant herbal teas, and honey shaped like bears can be delivered through Instacart in as fast as 30 minutes! Now let's go win the sick playoffs!
Daddy, I just want my soup.
Oh, sorry, Sport. App says it'll be here in a few minutes. Instacart for the win.
Celebrate and save at Ashley's Anniversary Sale. With Hot Buys, your choice of colors starting at just $3.99. Ashley Sleep mattresses starting at $2.50. Plus, receive a free adjustable base with select mattress purchases. And shop top mattress brands like Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, Purple, and Beautyrest Black with 60-month special financing. Only at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. No minimum purchase required. Minimum monthly payment, down payment, tax, and delivery may be required. See store for details.
What time is it, kids?
This is the Bob and Jeff Show, starring Bob Lutz.
This is how dementia. So I don't want to talk too much about it because I may give more hints than I want to that I'm starting to slip. You haven't noticed that, have you?
Not at all. No.
No, really? No.
Jeff Lutz.
I understand who we're talking about.
And Jason Duda. For today, anyway.
Oh, gasp. I'm so excited.
Philadelphia.
97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Your visit is always discreet.
All right, we are back. Hour number 2, the Bob and Jeff Show, with Jason Duda in today, the three-man booth. Happy to be joined by former big leaguer Andy Bennis. He's on the hotline. I go way back with Andy. I doubt he remembers. I covered the Wichita Wranglers in 1989. When he was making his professional debut. Andy, welcome. How are you?
I am doing great.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
You remember me?
Yeah. I don't. No.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to lie, but I would probably recognize you if I saw you.
Yeah, I'm 35 years older, so, you know.
Yeah.
I covered the team, and you were a phenom at that point and the number 1 draft pick, and your first assignment was to pitch here in Wichita for the Wranglers. What do you remember of that time, of that team, of that moment being here in Wichita?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was very thankful that was my first stop. We have some friends here in St. Louis, Charlie and Michelle Hilleman. Charlie was an outfielder, and we played against each other when he was at SIU Carbondale and I was at Evansville, and we lived across the hall from each other. And so my wife and I had been married for a couple years, and we just had a new baby boy. And so it was a really good stop for us. We really enjoyed it.
What was it like for you just kind of being groomed, and you didn't spend much time in the minor leagues at all? You were on the fast track to San Diego, but just in the time that you were in the minor leagues, just kind of knowing that you were on the path to the big leagues, what were you kind of working on? What did you feel like as a person, maybe the ways you needed to grow, and obviously the organization had a lot of big plans for you?
Well, yeah, they were very positive with me. I think as I look back at it, one of the things that I wish they would have had me do when I got to Wichita, I think it was, hey, just let him pitch, let him do his thing. And I was out there throwing 100 miles an hour every 5 days and striking out a lot of guys and throwing a few breaking balls, but really didn't feel like I was developing, as I look back at it, like what I was going to need when I got to the big leagues. And I think part of that was, the Padres were just like, probably told the pitching coaches, just let him do his thing and monitor pitches and all of that. I really wish they would have said, hey, you know what, when you get to the big leagues, 100 is great. And, your breaking ball is going to have to, do some work, but we want you to throw X amount of change-ups a game. We want you to work on that. And I remember spent a long time pitching against Greg Maddux, and I just asked him, I'm like, what? He just had a phenomenal changeup, and he said it didn't matter what the result was. They told me I was going to throw 15 changeups every game, regardless of what happened. And when he got to the big leagues, it was one of his best pitches. And as I look back, that would have been a huge deal to me. When I got to Vegas after Wichita, it was kind of the same thing. And so when I got to San Diego, I really was a fastball, breaking ball guy. And then after one start, our pitching coach, Pat Dobson, said, you're going to start throwing a slider. And so I was fastball, slider, and I could kind of open it up and throw more of a slurve. But I didn't really have a changeup, and I wish in a lot of ways that they would have told me the same thing that the Cubs told Maddux. You're going to throw X amount, and if you give up some runs, you give up some runs. But that doesn't take away the fact that I really loved being in Wichita, and I really enjoyed the city, and the people there were so good to me. I just have great memories, and playing in Lawrence Dumont Stadium, and I played there in a college league, and it was just, I have really good memories from there.
Well, you pitched in the 90s, obviously, and the game now in the 2020s is a little different. How would you put yourself, would you rather have pitched back then, or would you rather pitch now? Back then it's a little more small ball, a lot of steals. Now it's all just homers. Do you think you'd have been more successful now than you were back then?
I think I've been more successful back then because I'm 56 right now. No, I'm just kidding. I think the difference, as I look at it, we had our strike zone was defined from, upper thigh down to maybe a little bit below the knees, and maybe a ball off the plate on each side. So you had that rectangle that you were throwing at. In the game today, now they've taken that rectangle and they put it vertical. So you get a higher strike, right? And you typically need to be on the plate. Well, I was on the plate anyway, so that didn't really bother me. I had good location. But I had a kind of a riding fastball. And so, over my 14 years, I ended up striking out 2,000 guys. But if a ball was at the belt, it was either a ball or maybe a home run. So, and now you can go above the belt and still get a strike. So I don't know. I think I probably would strike out more guys today, just because I could locate and I could elevate the ball. And that was kind of my deal. But I don't think it's hard for a lot of the guys that are former players to kind of see the game, because back then guys were going to, even, middle of the order hitters were going to work really hard to get the ball in play and shorten up with two strikes and try to move the ball. And there was more stealing, and the game is just different. It's not right or wrong. It's just different. And so they're looking for, different skill sets, I think, and there's more of a premium on power, and, so whether you walk or, whether you strike out or fly out, they don't care. So guys are just letting it rip just whenever. So it's just different. I think I did, with my stuff been good in either time, but I think I would strike out more in the game today for sure.
Andy Bennis, our guest. I've got a twofold question. First, I'd like you to tell us what you're doing nowadays. And then secondly, you were drafted by the Padres. You got to the big leagues in your very first year in professional baseball, which started here in Wichita in AA, went through AAA in Las Vegas. Then you made 10 starts for the Padres. They traded you. They ended up trading you to Seattle in 1995. Right. And I'm just curious, you came up with them, that you were their number one pick. How did that trade affect you mentally, or did it? By that time, were you okay with that?
Yeah, so for your first question, my wife and I, and we have 7 kids now. We had 4 biological kids, and they're between 28 and 35, and we have 8 grandchildren. So super blessed in that way. And then we've adopted 3 from overseas. We have 2 from Russia and 1 from Ukraine, and they're 20, 17, and 14. So our 14-year-old has 5 nieces and 3 nephews. So big family and very thankful. I have a baseball organization here in St. Louis. Every once in a while we'll have a team play out in Wichita, get a tournament. It just kind of depends. But my club is the St. Louis Prospects, and so I enjoy being around kids. My son, that's 17, plays football and baseball. My oldest 2 both played Division I baseball and played pro ball. So that's not in the cards for Brock, but he's doing really well. So I'd say life is good. I'm very thankful I can make my own schedule and spend time with my wife. I'm involved in some Bible studies and things that kind of keep me centered. The Padres drafted me, so that was really special. And being the first pick, I happened to be kind of the next guy, and somebody went down, and so they called me up, and that was a really good experience for me. And over the 6 years I was there, we had 2 owners, 3 general managers, and 4 managers. So there was so much going on there. We had some really good players, and then in '93, I think, we traded Sheffield and McGriff, and we kind of, things were kind of had a young team, kind of rebuilding. And I remember I was an all-star in '93, and they wanted to extend me, and I really wanted to know what the direction of the club was. And so, it was kind of a rebuild or whatever. And in '95 at the trading deadline, I had a pretty good idea I was going to get traded. And that's hard when you've been somewhere for 6 years, but at the same time, it was super exciting to me to be going to a team that was competing to make the playoffs for the first time ever in Seattle. And I went and played with A-Rod and Griffey and Randy Johnson, Edgar Martinez, and for Lou Piniella. And that was he was a treat to play for, but at the same time, the city was just on fire. And so it was a really cool place for me to go, even though my heart was, my first place was in San Diego. It was a kind of a fresh beginning for me. And after I had that time there and got to pitch in the playoffs, I came to St. Louis and was able to play for the team that, I grew up watching. And we make our home here in St. Louis. So it was kind of bittersweet, leaving a lot of friends, community that I was really involved with during the season and in the off season. And but it was a good opportunity for me personally for my career to go play in a playoff situation.
Yeah, Andy, you talked about something that I was going to ask you about, which is that early '90s Padres team. I still do in a lot of ways, but as a kid, I just eat, breathe, and sleep baseball, and I tore through media guides. And I remember that '93 Padres media guide because it had Sheffield, who had just won the batting title, and Fred McGriff, who had just led the league in home runs on the cover. And that team went close to 500. You had Tony Gwynn, obviously. You as a number 1 pick. Bruce Bochy was the manager. Did you feel like something was brewing there? Did that, when it kind of fell out the next year, was that a surprise? And then, like you said, in Seattle, what was it finally like to get to pitch in those type of big games?
Yeah, it was, we also had Tony Fernandez, Bip Roberts. We had some really good players. For whatever reason, it just never clicked. We had good starting pitching, but we just couldn't put it all together. Atlanta, at that point, Atlanta was in our division, and they were pretty good with those top 3 guys, and they always had a good closer. So it was a little disappointing that it never really happened in San Diego. It did in '96 because we played them when I was with the Cardinals. We beat them in the division series. It was weird playing your former team, but going to Seattle was incredible. I got traded there at the deadline, and then Vince Coleman came over within a week. And our lockers were next to each other, and obviously a starting pitcher and a everyday outfielder, but we were kind of on the outside. We were very well received, but this group had been together for a long time with Tino Martinez. We were in the same draft, and Edgar A-Rod was new, but Griffey, Randy Johnson, Jay Buhner, all those guys, Joey Cora, were Dan Wilson, the catcher. They had been there for a long time and hadn't won, and this was their opportunity to win for the first time. And so when I went there, there was a lot of expectation. I either pitched really, really well or not good at all. It was, I think we won 9 out of my 11 starts. I had a couple clunkers and a couple, they bailed me out, but I think I ended up winning seven starts, and we make the playoffs, and it was so exciting that the Kingdome was filled every night and hadn't played in front of a capacity crowd other than opening day, or if the Beach Boys were in concert after, then it would San Diego would fill up. But it was just super fun. It was hard. We had 3 kids, and my wife was pregnant with our 4th when I got traded, and at that point, she's not around, so I'll say it, but she's not in the room with me now. She said, "I hate baseball," right? And then when we were going to make the playoffs, she's like, "Oh, it's going to be like another month." And she was going back and forth from San Diego to Seattle, and I was never back. I got back to San Diego for like an off day, but it can be really hard on the families. For me, it was super fun because we were winning, and very cool. You're in a new place, and people were super excited about the team. They kept saying if we made the playoffs, that there was a referendum for a new stadium for, I'm not sure what they call it now, but it was Safeco Field. And so being a part of a team that got a new stadium built that's just beautiful out there was super special.
Final moments here with Andy Bennis, formerly of the Wichita Wranglers, of course, spent 13 years in the big leagues. I got to ask you about the 96 Cardinals because I'm a lifetime Cardinals fan. That was such an interesting and fun team, and it was Tony La Russa's first year as manager there. You had Willie McGee and Ozzie Smith kind of at the end of their careers. You had an outfield of Gant, Langford, and Jordan, which I loved.
Right.
You had an interesting pitching staff. You were the ace, going 18-10 that year. Your brother Alan was also a very good starter. There has to be a book about the 96 Cardinals, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a book. It was super fun. We had a really good team. We beat the Padres in the division series, and then we were up 3-1, as you know, being a Cardinal fan, in the LCS against Atlanta. And Tony decided to start Stottlemyre on 3 days rest. I threw game 1 and 4, and we ended up winning both games. And Todd threw game 2, and Tony would say he wanted to win at home, and it just didn't happen. Smoltz beat us, and then we faced Maddox and Glavine. But I think as I look back, we had a really good team. It was a pretty close-knit team. But being on the same pitching staff with my younger brother was one of the coolest things that a player could ever do. I think we appreciate it a lot more now as we're older, but you're grinding through every day just trying to do your thing. But it was really special, and just having the opportunity to spend every day with him and have a companion on the road, it was really neat. I grew up a Cardinal fan from Southern Indiana, and so to have the opportunity to play with Ozzie and Willie, I think we played 3 years with Willie, and they were my 2 favorite players. But that team was super athletic. The outfield was amazing, and we just ran up against a team that was, won the division every year and was just on a great run with great starting pitching. Otherwise, we would have had a chance to compete in the World Series. But super fun team. Tony was fun to play for, and Dave Duncan was and probably known as one of the best ever. So it was a privilege to pitch for him.
All right, I appreciate that trip down memory lane. The 96 Cardinals. Andy Bennis has been our guest. Andy, very much appreciate you taking some time to talk with us today.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And hello to everybody in Wichita. Hopefully I'll get back there at some point.
Well, we hope so. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Take care, guys.
All right, there goes Andy Bennis, who doesn't remember me. But
well, you covered him for 2 days. I mean, it's not.
I covered him for his entire time here in Wichita.
It's about 2 days.
We loved everything about Wichita.
Except you.
Just couldn't gloat enough. Had no recollection of me.
Oh, well. Maybe he'll go back and look at some of his clippings tonight. Oh, yeah, Bob.
Why are you so mean?
Why is that mean?
And look what he wrote about me. Maybe that's why.
No, I was very complimentary.
Okay.
In fact, as I said on this show several times, I was sent to Las Vegas to cover his debut in AAA. I don't know why I wasn't sent to cover his debut in the big leagues.
That's tough. I don't know.
I was sent to cover the major league debut of one Nate Cornejo.
Really?
Back in the day when he pitched for the Tigers.
Yikes.
Went down to Arlington. And he didn't do tremendously well.
Yeah.
But that happens.
But he got to the big leagues, and that's what matters.
He did get to the big leagues. Of course, Nate Cornejo from
Wellington.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty smart.
Good job.
Why?
If you have T-Mobile 5G home internet, you might be hearing this
Why?
a lot. Every time your internet slows down during the busiest hours.
Why?
Because your network gives priority to cell phone users.
Why?
Good question. Why not switch to Cox Internet with 2 times faster download speeds than T-Mobile 5G home internet during peak hours?
Okay.
Stop the whys and visit cox.com/5G home for details. T-Mobile prioritizes certain T-Mobile phone users over home internet users during times of congestion.
Your fever is high and the pressure to log in at work is too. But when you finally decide to take care of you, there's Instacart. Just because that one perfect coworker of yours is attending all meetings, camera on while she's sneezing, coughing, and aching, doesn't mean you have to do the same. Take it from us. Trying to stay on top of things will only get you further behind. Instead, get everything from tissues and teas to cough suppressants and comforting soups delivered through Instacart in as fast as 30 minutes. If anyone needs anything, they can just redirect their questions to that one perfect coworker of yours.
Celebrate and save at Ashley's Anniversary Sale. With Hot Buys, your choice of colors starting at just $3.99. Ashley Sleep mattresses starting at $2.50. Plus, receive a free adjustable base with select mattress purchases. And shop top mattress brands like Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, Purple, and Beautyrest Black with 60-month special financing. Only at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. No minimum purchase required. Minimum monthly payment, down payment, tax, and delivery may be required. See store for details.
Cody Stavenhagen joins us. He is a beat writer for the Detroit Tigers, works for The Athletic, and we're happy to have Cody. Cody, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, doing well, guys. Thanks for having me.
So you're on with me, and I'm a Cardinals fan, so what happens in the American League is, I pay some attention, but I'm not emotionally wrapped up. My son, Jeff, who's a co-host here, is a devout Cleveland Guardians fan. I've been trying to tell him all spring that I think the Tigers are in position for a pretty nice breakout in the relatively near future. He thinks I'm crazy. Where do you come down on that?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. People around the Tigers definitely have a big feeling of optimism this spring. Won 78 games last year, had some young hitters really emerge. They have Tarek Skubal, could be one of probably the most underrated pitcher in the entire league. But I still think there's some uncertainty, right? Depending on young hitting is always a volatile ask in the major leagues. You don't know how these guys are going to perform. You have some pieces. Do you have enough pieces? Do you have enough veteran influence? They're going to start a rookie at second base in Colt Keith, who's already signed a pre-debut extension. He's a really talented player. But how much impact can he make right off the bat? They feel like their pitching is in good shape, but, accounting for injuries can change the season just like that. I think the Tigers organization is the healthiest it has been in a long, long time. How many wins that will translate to, I think it's still hard to say.
How popular do you think that pre-debut extension will become? We've seen it with, like you said, Colt Keith, Jackson Churio did it. There have been several guys over the last few years, but just kind of a trickle effect. Is that going to become something a little bit bigger in baseball? And also from the players already on the roster that have been there, are there other extension candidates with the Tigers that you think they might try to lock up?
Yeah, I think the pre-debut extensions and early career extensions are certainly popular among front offices. We've seen them become more common. It makes sense if you have a really talented guy to buy out his arbitration years, hopefully in hopes of gaining a little more team control. At the same time, I'm not sure that it's ever going to become all the rage. I know there are a lot of agents out there who don't like it. They feel like it can lead to players selling themselves short. In the case of a kid like Colt Keith, he's getting $28 million guaranteed. There are incentives that could make the contract up to, I believe, $80 million. You can see why he took it. He just guaranteed himself wealth for his entire life. At the same time, if you look at the average annual value, if he becomes a star like the Tigers hope he can, he's going to be severely underpaid in 5 or 6 years. So I always kind of go back and forth on these arguments. It kind of depends what the individual wants, maybe the needs for their families, things like that. But I think there are enough agents that are opposed to even having some of these negotiations that it's never going to become entirely popular. Some of the Tigers' other guys who can make sense are probably Spencer Torkelson and Tarek Skubal. They're both Scott Boras clients. Scott Boras doesn't really do these deals. But another guy to watch is Riley Green, who is as talented as any player on this team. Been a little banged up the past couple of years. If he could stay healthy, he could really have a breakout year. And I could see the Tigers wanting to sign him to an extension early in his career as well.
Well, we have Bob here, who obviously thinks Detroit's on the way up. We have Jeff, who's a huge Cleveland fan. Wichita has the AA affiliate of the Twins. So we're kind of got the Central covered here. How do you see the Central panning out this year?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think it's probably going to be the worst division in the league yet again. They're in a weird spot where it seems like no one has really been aggressive in trying to win this division. The Twins are probably going to enter the season as the favorite, as the incumbent division champions. I would think the Guardians on paper, given what they did last year, have the best chance to challenge, but we didn't see a ton of aggressive moves from Cleveland this offseason. There are certainly people who think Detroit could be kind of the rising dark horse to challenge the Twins in this division. It's one of those things. A lot of people think if you can win 84, 85 games in the Central, that might be enough to win you the division.
Talking Detroit Tigers with Cody Stavenhagen from The Athletic. I'm curious about this rotation. We all believe Tarek Skubal is destined to be one of the better pitchers in the American League. After him, how does it shake out? I'm sure they're extremely encouraged by Jack Flaherty, who has had 2 really good spring outings in a row where his velocity has been up. I hate that the Cardinals gave up on him, but understand why. What do you think of the rotation of the Tigers? How important is Flaherty to that rotation?
Yeah, the Tigers are kind of, I think, a bubbling pitching development organization. They have pitching coaches and guys like Chris Fetter and Robin Lund who are really showing an aptitude for being able to get more out of the pitchers they have to work with, whether it's adding a tick or two of velocity or totally revamping a guy's arsenal. They had a lot of success with Michael Lorenzen, who they ended up trading at last year's deadline, went on to throw a no-hitter with the Phillies. Flaherty is kind of in that mold, a guy who's really talented, has had a rough go the past few years. They basically think they can reshape Jack Flaherty into a completely different pitcher, and the early returns this spring are pretty good. They signed a more proven guy in Kenta Maeda, the former Minnesota Twin. He's got a nasty splitter, can do a lot of good things with the baseball. And then they hosted talented young guys like Casey Mize and Matt Manning, who at one time were highly, highly ranked prospects, just have not been healthy earlier in their careers. But both those guys are having tremendous springs as well. Same can be said for Reese Olson, who's competing with Mize and Manning for a rotation spot. He was dynamite in September last season, also had a strong spring. So they actually have a surplus of pitching entering the season. They feel really good, obviously still banking on some of this development to translate into regular season games, though.
So the Tigers had Miguel Cabrera, who they were paying big money while he was on a decline for the last few years. But that's Miguel Cabrera, a Hall of Famer, a guy who built up tons and tons of goodwill in Detroit and went out with only good feelings. Now they have Javi Baez, who they're paying big money while he's on the decline, and he has not built up that goodwill. I don't know that necessarily means anything about his status, whether he'll get to play a bunch or not, but what do you make of that whole situation with Javi Baez?
Yeah, it's not shaping up to be a good situation right now. He was a little bit disappointing his first year in Detroit. Last year, he was the second worst qualified hitter in all of baseball. The fans really have not embraced him. I seem to get a different message or DM every day, like, when are the Tigers going to cut Javi Baez? The reality is he's under contract for 4 years and $98 million. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. You know, there was talk of making some changes, strengthening his back and his core, and maybe simplifying his swing. Well, Baez is, I believe, 3 for 32, 3 for 33 this spring. He's looked pretty lost at the plate. I'm not seeing a lot of signs of a turnaround coming. It might be a rough go of things the next couple of years. Really, it's come down to he's still a plus defender at shortstop. They hope they can get some good defense out of him, enough to live with his struggles at the plate. But the reality is it is not great for Javi Baez in Detroit right now.
We're talking Detroit Tigers with Cody Stavenhagen from the Athletic. So you mentioned the Central and how underwhelming it is. I have a similar situation in the National League Central, but with a lot of teams that seem to be trying to move the needle. There seems to be no one outside of maybe the Brewers who have stood pat. And that's the point I've made with the Tigers. They at least seem to be trying to move the needle to some degree, and they have one of the best managers in baseball in A.J. Hinch. So if you put the teams in front of me and say, pick one of these teams that nobody's expecting a whole lot from to do better than expected, and there's always a team or two like that, the Tigers come to mind. Could you see that happening?
Yeah, I think there's a world in which it definitely happens. If you were to say that to some people in the Tigers front office, they'd be really happy right now because I'm pretty positive that is exactly how they feel. They think they have some of the right pieces in place, that they're doing things in the organization under the hood that are going to help these guys succeed in regular season games. I think there's a world in which it happens, but it does depend on a lot going right, which in the difficult sport of baseball is never an easy ask. You need guys like Kerry Carpenter, who hit 20-plus homers last year, to repeat that performance. You need Riley Green to stay healthy. You need Torkelson to take another step forward. You need some of these younger pitchers who have been hurt to stay healthy and really shove this year. There's a world in which that all happens. There's a world in which a few things go awry and your lineup just ends up being too young to kind of tread the water. The Tigers were 28th in runs scored last year. I think their pitching is in a good place. I think it's ultimately going to be a question of how much can they bump up that run scoring. They probably need to get from 28th to league average around 15th to have a shot at the playoffs.
All right, good stuff, Cody. We really appreciate it. The Tigers open a week from tomorrow in Chicago against the White Sox. We appreciate your time. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Happy to join anytime. Take care.
You bet.
Thanks.
All right, Cody Stavenhagen from The Athletic. As we made a very strong case for the Tigers, I believe.
Oh, yeah, we sure did.
You don't like them, eh?
There's a world, he said, in which they might be good.
He didn't say that about the Guardians.
Yeah, he said they are the most probable challenger.
He did?
He did.
Probable to who?
Twins.
Huh. I missed that.
If you call the Twins any kind of contender, but whatever.
What will be the first day that Jeff comes on this show and says, I hate baseball?
About 6 days in.
6? You're giving me that many days?
Cleveland will be 2-4, and he'll be like, I'm done.
Exactly.
I hope they don't
done.
start 2-4.
We've seen this.
How many times I've heard that over the years is ridiculous.
We've seen this.
I don't care. I'm done. They're done. They're no good. Then they win 2 in a row, and oh yeah, we're back. I mean, it's just
they're going to be great. Thank you.
Month. It's just painful.
We've seen this show before.
Oh, all the time.
Why don't you talk about how Bob does that too?
You both do it.
And how Bob is already
Absolutely,
sour.
you both do it.
I'm not that sour.
Oh, they're not going to be that good. I'm not that high on them.
You opened with 4 in Oakland. You got to feel good about that. What if they sweep you?
I doubt they'll sweep us.
Oh, that'd be the end of it.
Their pitching is not terrible.
Oh, there it is.
1-3, I can see.
Oakland isn't bad.
Oh, there it is. He's
Cleveland
setting us
starting
up.
1-3.
I doubt it.
We open in L.A. against the Dodgers. I think I'd take Oakland.
I'm just saying, Oakland is not.
You know what I'm saying there, dudes?
I understand
Oakland's
what
not
you're
the
saying.
team that they were last year. They actually have some big leaguers on their roster.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
I'm not.
If
I
you don't-
expect to beat Oakland.
If you go out and get swept by
we're
Oakland,
not going to get swept by Oakland.
Not if Stephen Kwan has anything to say about it.
With Bieber, Bybee, Allen, and McKenzie, they're not going to
well,
get swept.
sounds like a bad law firm.
Oh, so many questions and comments for that, but I'm going to let it go.
I think I'm making enemies out of every other sports/media person in.
What have you done?
What'd you do?
I'm just not
now?
I'm not a fun guy to draft over 4 days with. Let's get this done and let's move along.
What have you said to him?
Let's, just stuff like that.
No, let's hear your latest comment.
Oh, okay. Well, Sully, my guy Sully,
Souls.
he said Yandy Diaz, but he put it with a question mark because he didn't know if he was available. So he's Yandy Diaz. So I made my pick. I said Jordan Lawler. Wait, Jordan Lawler?
Yeah, I wouldn't like you. I don't know why you have to be like that.
I don't know. I'm just tired. We're on day 4 of this.
Who cares? Why are you doing it?
Yeah, so what?
Somebody force you?
I think so.
Are you popular within?
I doubt it. I'm old. I'm older than these people. I've been
Do
through
they say to themselves, "Why'd we invite this clown?"
Probably. I mean, yeah. If I'm being totally self-aware, they probably do.
Well, who invites you?
TJ is the one who put it all together.
Is he just throwing you a bone?
No, I told him I'd do it. He probably liked me back then.
Back then?
Well, why wouldn't you want to be liked by these people?
I do. I'm sure we'd get along in person, but, I don't want to spend my whole life on Twitter Messenger.
Well, can't you just go on when it's your pick?
I don't know when it's my pick.
Don't they ding you or
No,
do
they
something?
don't.
Well, then you just, when you think it's about time, check it. And then if not, then wait.
Yeah, what's the rush?
That's
what they said. What's the rush? I just said I'm going to get things done kind of guy. So let's get it
No,
done.
they don't like that.
They don't. And I'm okay with it.
That's how we do we just finished our baseball draft. Lots of time, so guys are working.
Yeah, you got lots
can't
of time
get to
except
it.
the season started
So
today.
let's set a day for the pump house. I'm saying after the show, next Tuesday.
Tuesday's not going to work for us.
Why? What do you got going? Let's go.
I know there's stuff going on next Tuesday.
All right, next Wednesday.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are bad for us. They're the worst.
I am out Thursday. I will not
Where
be
are you going Thursday?
I will not be participating Thursday.
Where you're not on the show Thursday?
I'll be on the show, but I will not be on the show Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Oh, Joanna Chadwick invited me to a thing at Derby, so
No, what'd she invite you to? Are you
participated in that.
Are you speaking to her class?
It's.
Oh, there's the bone. She finally threw the bone
This
out.
is
not
the
that big of a
bottom
deal,
of
and
the
it's
barrel.
not that big
I
of a
love
deal
it.
to
She
me.
finally threw it out there, and you caught it.
Nah, it's not.
And you're running to Derby.
By the
Good
way,
for
I'm
you.
the keynote speaker on Saturday morning at Wichita State's WSU Tech Sports Management Gathering.
And then who are they bringing in after you?
I'm the keynote speaker.
You are?
Yeah.
You're not going to. Oh, they're going to be so disappointed. Hey, I see everybody out here has their pocket protector. I mean, you're going to start with some dumb joke, and it's gonna fall so flat.
Yeah, if I started with that joke, it would be dumb.
But whatever you start with, I'm going to go to this.
And you're going to go talk to Joanna Chadwick's class.
No, it's the press conference. They have to interview me, and then write a story about me.
Oh God!
Oh, he's
Biggest
gonna love
challenge of their life.
He's gonna get to read like 50 stories on himself.
I can't wait.
Oh, look how excited! He's gonna have to grade them. I bet.
I should.
What in the world could they get to with you that would?
I don't know. We'll
amount
find out.
To a story.
Nothing. But I've had a fairly interesting go of it in life.
You have?
Yeah, I've had to deal with you, and
well, that'll probably be the story.
I sure hope not.
Yeah, if Bob's name is in there
if
more
they bring
than
you
yours,
up, I'm gonna quickly change the tune.
I wonder if that will be a question.
I sure hope not.
Oh, I bet it will.
There are so many other things to me than this.
Like what? What do you think they should ask?
I don't know. They
what
should.
would you want? No. How about what would you want them to ask?
What road should they go down?
I had to send a bio.
Did you make it yourself?
Yeah, and I did that. So they'll ask me about those things.
I sent a bio in for the keynote speaking engagement. They loved it.
God, WSU Tech.
No, WSU Sports Management. It's at the WSU Tech facility.
I mean, I guess on paper you make sense for something like that. But I hope they didn't spend any money. Is what I guess.
Why
I
would
better
you say that?
Because they won't get their money's worth. That's why.
No, but why would you insult me? Why would you degrade me?
Like you just did when you said I'm the bottom of the barrel. You said bottom of the barrel.
Well, it is. We are getting toward late March. It's been a long school year. I need a speaker. Let's go to Jeff.
No, there's more people than me.
Oh, really? Oh, it's not even you.
It's others. It's press conference.
Who? Who's that? Who are the others?
The luminaries.
Sully Ingalls?
I sure hope not.
Why do you insult Sully?
Because he's annoying.
Don't say that.
What?
What do you think of Jeff Duda? Would you like him if you didn't know him?
It's hard, man.
By listening to this show?
I want to be liked. I'm not gonna.
Why do you do that?
I want to be nice to people.
Why do you say things like that?
Because I don't know how not to. I guess there's just nothing like.
I think I'm infinitely more likable than
the
you.
inner monologue
people,
doesn't shut off in Jeff.
There are people who say they collectively don't like people, but they like individual people. I'm complete opposite. I think I don't like individual people, but I love people as a concept. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like I'll do anything for anybody. But the second that you go cross on me, and I'm not saying I'm holding a grudge or anything like that.
Who went cross on you?
Yeah.
Well, when you don't draft for 4 hours, that's.
Well, I've gone cross on you many times.
Yeah,
and I'll continue to do it.
And we see what has happened.
And I have no fear of you at all.
None.
That's funny.
None. I couldn't care less.
They'll say, man.
I can't wait for the throwdown. I just can't wait.
We are at the end. We will be back tomorrow. We'll talk Cleveland Guardians baseball.
Yes.
Duda will be back next week. You're out tomorrow and Friday. Am I right about that? Could you?
I don't know.
We'll talk about it later.
You guys have had. I
might
don't know.
bring you in Friday for me. We'll talk. But anyway, thanks for listening. See you soon.
How powerful is Cox Internet? Powerful enough to let your band members in Vegas, Phoenix, and Rhode Island jam like you're all in the same garage. Get Cox Internet powered by fiber with America's fastest download speeds. It's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, always building better. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial connection. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and other restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence Data. Fixed median download speeds. US Q3 2023.
Celebrate and save at Ashley's Anniversary Sale. With Hot Buys, your choice of colors starting at just $3.99. Ashley Sleep mattresses starting at $2.50. Plus, receive a free adjustable base with select mattress purchases. And shop top mattress brands like Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, Purple, and Beautyrest Black with 60-month special financing. Only at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. No minimum purchase required. Minimum monthly payment, down payment, tax, and delivery may be required. See store for details.
We all agree that reducing carbon emissions is a good thing. And once again, Toyota is leading the way. We hear a lot about fully electric vehicles, and Toyota has them with more on the way. But we also know a BEV is not for everyone, whether it's because of cost, range, or concern about finding a charging station when you need it. Plus, the raw materials used to manufacture batteries are limited. Enter Beyond Zero, Toyota's vision for a carbon-neutral future. In vehicles and in manufacturing plants, too, in the years ahead. The materials used to make just one long-range battery for an EV could be used to make batteries for 6 plug-in hybrids or 90 gas-electric hybrids. That's why Toyota's position today is electrified, diversified, empowering you to choose how to reduce your own carbon footprint with the vehicle that's right for you. A hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or battery EV. So shop, learn more, and get details at toyota.com/beyondzero. Toyota, let's go places.